Today we're going to be doing learning target 4, solve one variable inequalities and graph the solution on a number line. So we're going to start with the word inequality. It's a statement that one quantity is less than or greater than another. So let's remember our inequalities. Right here we have our less than. Over here we have our greater than. Then we have less than or equal to, and we have greater than or equal to. We can remember these. If you have a hard time remembering this, remember that if you make it into like a Pac-Man, the Pac-Man already ate the small number, and he's about to eat the big number. So 2 is less than 9. He already ate the small one, he's coming after the big one. Vice versa. 9 is greater than 2. So he already ate the small one. He's about to eat the big one. So here's our everyday phrases that are going to help us. We can do inequality. So we have some key words here. So a statement, at least 6 glasses. So I'm going to have at least 6 glasses of water. So my key word here is at least. We like to use a variable, and we put our variable first. So for glasses, I'm going to put G. If I'm going to have at least 6 glasses, that means the smallest amount of glasses I'm going to have is 6. That means I could have 7, I could have 8, I could have 9. So that means that my G is going to be greater than or equal to 6, because I can have 6 glasses or more. Below 40 degrees. So we're doing degrees here, so I'm going to put a D for degrees. So below 40 degrees, that means it could be 39 degrees, it could be 12 degrees, it could be anything smaller than...
Amber Views to the office, please. Amber Views.
Sorry about that. It could be anything smaller than 40, but that does not include 40. So to not include the 40, it's going to be less than 40 degrees. Fewer than 20 calories. So I'm going to put C for calories. We're going to be fewer than 20 calories. That means you want less than 20 calories. You want smaller than, but not including 20. So we want less than 20. At most $10. So I'm going to put an M for money. So you can have at most $10. That means you can have $10, but you can't have anything more than $10. You could have $8, you could have $9, but you can have $10, but you can't have 11. So it's going to be less than or equal to, because we can have 10. And then between, whenever you see between, we're going to put our variable in the middle. So I'm going to use an X right now, or no, for degrees, I'm going to put my D. So whenever you have a between, you're going to have something on this side, something on this side. So it's between 35 and 120 degrees. So that means D can't be more than 120. So it's going to be less than 120. And since D has to be bigger, D has to be greater than 35. Another way we can write it where it's in between is 35 is less than D. So that way both of the signs are facing the same way when D is in the middle. It's the same thing. 35 is less than D, D is greater than 35. Okay, solve the inequalities and graph the solution on a number line. The way that we solve inequalities is exactly the same as how we were solving equations. There's just a little difference when we get over here to our special case. So here we want to get x by itself, so we have to move this 8. To get rid of this 8, we subtract 8 from both sides. So now I have, these are going to cancel. 2x is greater than or equal to 11 minus 8 is 3. Now we divide by our 2. Divide by our 2. It's going to give me 1x, which is the same as x is greater than or equal to 3 halves. If you wanted to write it as a fraction, you could put it as 1 1/2. Now we're going to graph this. I'm going to just make a really bad straight line. You can do it however you want. So this is 1 1/2. I'm going to go up by half. So 0.5, 1, 1.5. 2. I'm going to do the same thing here, negative 0.5, negative 1, negative 1.5, right? And then negative 2. So here we're starting on 1 1/2. So I'm going to go to 1 1/2. It can include, this equal to means I can include this number. So when you're including it, when it's a greater than or equal to or less than or equal to, we fill in that circle because that can be included. We can have 1.5. But it's saying it can be greater than that. So it could also be 2, 2.5, 3, 3.5. So that means that's going to be up here. The way I want to show that I'm including all of these is I'm going to now thicken my arrow over here. I'm going to show that it's 1.5 and up. Another way that this can help you, if the variable is on the left and it's whatever way this is pointing, so this is pointing that way, so I'm going to shade up here, only if your variable is on the left. So over here, the first thing we have to do is we're going to divide, but this is a special case. Whenever you have an inequality and you're dividing or multiplying by a negative, so just say this was x divided by -8 is less than or equal to 56. So here we're going to divide by a negative, so when we're dividing or multiplying by a negative, so here we'd have to multiply by a -8. We're going to flip all of our signs, right? So when we divide by a -8 here, we divide by a -8 here. Negative divided by negative becomes a positive, so that sign changed. 56 divided by a negative becomes a -7. That sign changed. But this sign will also flip. So instead of less than or equal to, it will become greater than or equal to. So my answer is going to be x is greater than or equal to -7. So again, I'm going to graph it, draw my line, draw my line. I don't feel like starting at 0. I'm just going to put my -7, -8, -6, -5, -4, -3. So it's less than or equal to, so I know I'm going to have a filled in circle because I'm including my -7. I'm including it. I can have greater than this, greater than -7. So a number bigger than -7 is actually a -6 because -8 gets smaller. And if you use your hint, the x is on the left and the number's on the right, I'm going to follow this arrow, which means this should all get darker. So it's including all of these numbers below. X can be any of these numbers that in the shaded dark area, including this. All right, let's try a couple more. Okay, 2x plus 5 is less than or equal to -3. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to subtract 5. On this side, I'm going to be left with 2x. I subtracted a negative. I didn't divide, so my equality stays the same. -3 minus 5, they're same sign, so I add. So 5 plus 3 is 8. Same sign, and I keep it. Now I'm dividing by a 2. I don't care that this 8 is negative. I'm dividing by a positive number, so my sign is going to stay. So I'm going to be left with x. It stays the same. -4. So now when I draw this, boom, boom, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so it's less than or equal to, so I'm including my -4, I'm putting a dark circle around it. It is numbers less than -4, which means that could be a -5, a -6, a -7. So that's down here. Also, the arrow is pointing that way, so I'm going to make this part darker. All right, so over here we change this. This is 4y plus 5 is greater than y plus 26. So I'm going to solve this the same way. I want to move my number to one side. So this is smaller. I'm going to subtract 5. Now I have 4y is greater than y plus, different sign subtract, it's a regular thing, oh, that's a 5 by the way, 21. Now I want to get my y's on one side. My y is already by itself over here, so I'm going to subtract a y. 4y minus y is 3y. I'm dividing by a positive, so my sign is going to stay the same way. My sign is going to stay the same way. So now when I draw this, so I'm going to count by 2's here. 2, 4, 6, 8. So that way you know, because there's a mark here, it's just a 1, 3, 5, 7. 1, 2, 4, 6. So now this is just greater than. This is not including our 7. This is saying it has to be greater than 7. So it can't be 7, but it could be like 7.1. So when it's not including or when there's no equal to under it, we put an open circle on that number to let us know I'm not including the 7. But I'm still greater than, I'm still following it this way. So it could be 8, 9, 10, which is all this way. So I still shade this way. I still make it darker here. And that would be it. So before class, solve the inequality negative 3a minus 7 is greater than 2.3 and graph the solution on a number line. So do that before coming into class.